Hey, what's up, everyone? Good to see you guys again. It's been quite a minute since we've last talked face to face. Yeah, it's been a minute. You're probably wondering where have I been in terms of just doing a general video, nothing like sports related, like basketball or whatnot. I had a video planned for a couple weeks ago, but I ended up forgetting about it, just not even worrying about it, I guess. But I'm here actually to go ahead and do a 2021 running race season recap, also include the Drumstick Dash recap. I did do the Drumstick Dash back last Thursday, Thanksgiving morning. Today is Wednesday, December 1st, so I've had 6 days to think about the race and my thoughts on it. I'm just going to come out the gate and say it. Personally, I think 2021 was the best year I've had in racing since 2017, easily. It's been a few years since I've been able to string together a nice collection of races. That doesn't mean I didn't have bad races this year. I had a couple. But yeah, I think in the end, with what ended up happening, what's been going on, and everything else, I've been able to string together some good performances this year. Memorable ones, in fact, as well. So kind of run through it. Yeah, it's been tough, though. It has came with some really tough challenges, and I'll kind of break it down as we go throughout. I won't talk about the overall 2021 season too much. I want to spend more time on the Drumstick Dash. I have a lot to say about that race. So this video is going to be a little long. I do like to talk a bit, so that's just me personally. But let's go ahead and get into it. Oh, one more thing. We fly, baby. All state. But racing didn't get started until the summer, late spring, early summer. So I was training for my track season, 2021 summer track season. It was a series of races that occurred up in Zionsville, here in Indiana, and I was training for it. I was wanting to see if I could put together some good races overall. I did a couple of their races the year before. They ended up putting together a couple of meets in the middle of the pandemic last year, especially the middle, I don't know if I call it the height of it, but they announced they were doing a full season of 6 meets, as they usually do. 3 in June, 3 in July, on Thursday evenings. And I was like, cool, we're ready to go, let's do this. So, trained kind of hard. Training did slack off a little bit before the first track meet of the season, and got underway on June 10th. I was originally supposed to race the Indy Half Marathon in May, but they moved it to virtual again. So I was like, and running at that point, it kind of strained on me a little bit. I was starting to put together some good long runs, but then my body instantly said, not so fast, Steven. So I don't know. Things kind of went a little bit, things kind of got disrupted a little bit, but rebounded, got into summer track season mode. And the first race was a good sign. It was a very good sign. I raced well, 6:45, 1600, and I ran 2:52 in the 800. I thought, I'm pretty impressed with that, and I was very, very impressed. And I was like, well, let's see what happens with the following week. It wasn't too great. I ran I guess you could say my fastest 1 miler in my life, 6:49. My fastest 1600 is 6:11. The 800 was pretty gassed. I was pretty gassed. This was on June 17th, or on the following Thursday. And I was toast. My legs were done. They were shot. I think it was because of maybe trying a little too hard with speed work a little bit, maybe. But yeah, pretty much I ran right under the 3-minute mark of the 800. I tried to keep up with a couple of people, but I knew after the first lap, there was no chance I was going to stay with them. The meet the following week got canceled. Training was starting to get better again. I was starting to put together better workouts, better speed workouts, like 8x300, 4x kilometer. I was putting together some good stuff again. 4x2x200, in which the first, there would be basically it was the first 200s at mile pace and the second 200s at 800 meter pace. And I did that 4 separate times, and the rest was longer in between every two 200s. So I was putting together some good work at this point. The next track meet was July 8th, and it was odd distance relay night. So I thought, okay, I'm thinking about trying to run pretty fast in the 600. There was a 1200, a 600, a 2400. The original thought was to do all 3, but I ended up sticking with the 1200 and 600, and This was probably one of the most memorable racing nights of the year for me. Basically, races in general of the year, because in the 1200, it's three laps around a standard 400-meter track. I went out pretty good. I went pretty good pace. In the final lap, somebody tried to out-kick me, but I ended up catching them immediately back, and I ran 4:45 in the 1200. I was pretty proud of that. I won my heat. But then I ended up just smoking everybody in the 600. I took off so freaking fast, it was unreal. I do have video of that if you want to check it out. I'm going to actually link my performances in the link. I'm going to link them below in the description, those videos to those races, the footage of them. I ended up not putting together the last two races for a specific reason. We'll get to those here in just a moment, but I ran 157 in the 600. That was by far my fastest performance of the year in any distance. The fastest I'd gone. I think the pace for that is like 5:18 mile pace average. I went out in 35 seconds for the first 200. That's how freaking fast I was running. And I was out of it after that. I was definitely dazed after that one, but that gave me a huge confidence booster for the remainder of the track season. But what ends up happening? Well, the following Thursday, and it had been tricky because we had the third meet was canceled because of the weather. This meet upcoming on the 15th of July, that was coming up at that point, was Olympic distance night. I was going to do the 1500 and the 800. And again, we had inclement weather moving in. We had some bouts of severe weather. We got hammered on June 18th, and then it was kind of like really getting active at this point. We had a quiet spring, and I knew it was coming anyway. So we had some activity moving in, and I'm trying to get answers. I'm not getting a single freaking answer, so I ended up finding out right after I left. I had literally just left work. I literally just walked out the door and into the car and went home. Started going home, and I ended up finding out the race was still on. Was not pleased at all with that, but I think that was kind of a blessing in disguise, I guess, because we had to get our house ready. We had company coming over that weekend anyway. Great friends from out of town came in to stay the weekend, and it was raining a lot that Friday. It rained a crap ton that Friday. It was flooding a lot in some areas. But yeah, that doubted me, or should I say, I felt doubtful about the overall situation in general with how I wanted the final race to go, or what if I wanted to do it or not, but I ended up just pulling for it. I did a 200-meter workout that following Monday on the 19th. I was like, oh, this is great. We're going to tune ourselves up. I think that ended up being the final nail in the coffin. And I'll talk about why I say it like that. I said it like that. The final 200 ended up being in 33 seconds, and that absolutely blew my mind. I thought, it's among the fastest 200s I've ever ran in my life. I was going with that one. I was just pushing it. I was, mine shut off at this point. I had some issues brewing, not ones that I would keep pushing through either. This is kind of the first time I'm really going more into depth about this. I was having some lower back problems. Why? I could not tell you. I think part of it was overuse. Part of it was overtraining. I'm trying to have our dog. We got a new dog in the family now. She's hyperactive a little bit, but she's a good girl. But she's a German Shepherd. But come up here. Come up here. So basically, anyway, hey, why are you barking? That's my other big dog. Anyway, so basically, going to that Thursday, lower back was acting up. It hurt. I was in a decent amount of pain with this. Yeah, I'm still trying to piece it together. Oh my gosh, it was not good. And we also up to that point, we had smoke coming in from the west. There was fires in Montana or whatnot. It was Idaho. It was the Idaho fires. And smoke was traveling in the atmosphere all the way up over towards us, and it literally smelled like fire on race day in Zionsville, which wasn't good. And you don't want to be breathing in that stuff when you're racing. It can definitely take a toll on you. Of course, the aerosols in the atmosphere, and it could contain... Will you stop biting me? it can contain particle, it can take a hold of the smoke particles and travel them across the atmosphere. This dog is, oh gosh, I might have to do a quick pause on this. I'm just kidding, no, I don't have to. But essentially, I totally hit the wall that Thursday on the 22nd of July. There was the true mile and then the 800. And I ended up totally hitting the wall in the mile. I did not feel good at all during the race. I was uncomfortable. My body was not responding well. My lower right back was the area of concern. It was literally, it felt, I just felt it during the whole race. Don't fall off the couch now, you goof. She's literally like on the edge of the couch. But I felt absolutely terrible. And that ended up marking the start of a 2-month uncertain period of uncertainty. Are you biting my arm? Period of uncertainty in which I didn't know if I was going to be able to run for the rest of the year. I thought it was done. I was in a little bit of pain for sure, and it ended up just continuing to hurt for a few weeks, actually. I was really concerned. I immediately thought I had a disc problem. I didn't have a disc problem. I don't think it was a disc issue. I think it was more of possibly a muscle in there or whatnot, or some bone issue. I still am putting it 2 and 2 together on that. But regardless, it was probably my lowest point of the year in terms of running. And I called it quits in the middle of the meet. I did not run the 800. That was hard to do. That was very hard to do. It's hard to admit that too, because you're probably thinking to yourself, well, why didn't you just gut it out? I was not feeling good, honestly, after the mile. I felt terrible. Did not feel great at all. So I told myself, well, I'm done pushing myself, honestly, at this point. I knew my limit. I was at my limit pretty much with what was happening. So I was pretty damn mad coming home, was not happy. And especially me being a competitive person, I like to get the best out of my own, I like to get the best out of races and whatnot. But with who I am and how I persevere in life, I told myself, listen, in this situation, we're going to get through this. And then I eventually ended up doing that. It ended up taking a minute, though. It ended up taking a minute to get through this. Ended up scheduling a doctor's visit in September and got through all that. Then it suddenly started going away. So I really haven't had any issues since September, thankfully. But I thought I was done for the year. I thought I was done competitively for a while. Or just running. But that leads us to the Drumstick Dash. So basically, we get to mid-October, and I get an email. One more thing to wrap up the track season. I was definitely proud of it. I wish I would have closed it out better. Wish I would have been able to close it out better. But we'll take what we had. I'll take what I got and ended up getting from that. And having my dad to support me, that was really awesome. And everyone else supporting as well. That was really awesome. Always love the support system I have from you guys, too. So, mid-October, get an email at work, and for those who don't know, I work at a news station. Work at Channel 8. So basically, my coworker Drew emailed us, the entire station. She has done Ironmans before and whatnot. She's a real fit athlete. Basically saying, here's my annual reminder about the Drumstick Dash, and basically local media personalities come together for this thing called the Celebrity Challenge in the race. The overall race benefits Wheeler Mission, which is a thing that is an organization for the homeless, and it's a great cause. And I thought, well, this is really cool. I've wanted to do this race for a number of years up to this point, so I thought, let's go ahead and do this. For the VIP, basically, which is where we were basically considered, our registration was free. The benefits, of course, would go to Wheeler Mission, and also there was like a breakfast bar and all that. I ate at home that morning. I always make sure to eat at home in the morning on race day. I'm just trying to make sure I eat what I know I have. There's not much to explain there with that, but I ended up finding out a month later from the race director himself. We got emailed, the ones who decided to do it, it was me and another guy named Kevin from my work as well who decided to do this along with Drew. I was informed that in order to compete for the Celebrity Challenge trophy, which is a trophy that is dedicated to not only the male but the female participants in the Celebrity Challenge, you have to run the 4.5 mile course. Now, if you don't know what the race is about, or should I say the course options, there's a 2.75 mile course and then there's a 4.5 mile course. So I had to do the 4.5 mile course. And keep in mind, when I got this email in mid-November, I had only done probably 8 runs up to that point since September 24th. And my longest run was 3.5 miles. I thought, Uh-oh. I had one of those things going on in my head. It just wasn't good. But I told myself don't panic. I was like, all right, every run from this point forward is going to be kind of long. It's a medium long and long run at this point. I didn't want to do anything more than the race distance itself. I'm not trying to overtrain. I didn't have much to go on with at this point, so I kind of buckled down, got to it. Weather's been in and out the last month here in central Indiana. It's been stupid, honestly. We go from literally being in the 50s and 60s, and 2 days later, we're in the 30s and it's windy. It's been windy a lot lately. Weather to easily get sick in, honestly. We've had rain, we had freaking snow a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I hate this pattern because you get sick so easily in it. But anyway, long story short, we get to Thursday. I was not 100% going into this race. I felt off a little bit. And of course, thinking about everything too, I wanted to end the racing season on a positive note. That basically dedicated to everybody, including the ones I lost this year. One specific person, two specific people I lost this year. We lost this year that I knew very well. One of them was a member of church family, old church family, you could say. I might have a video explaining. I might be talking about a little bit of that in my year recap. There's a lot to talk about in the year recap in a month from now. Also, too, my 4th grade teacher from elementary school passed away, and he liked racing. He liked race car, like IndyCar stuff. He liked a lot of race car stuff, and I was kind of like, well, you know what? Every race I do will be to him for the rest of the year. And so, had that in mind. A lot of things were on my mind. I'm thinking, I got a lot to be thankful for, but still, there's, a lot of things have been happening. I have some uncertainty going forward with things. It was a mix that I didn't want to get myself involved with mentally, but I used it for the better overall. Use it to motivate me, and that's what that's what happens a lot of the time. And I use it for motivation, to motivate me to push harder and harder every day. You're not going to do it yourself, or it's not going to get it done by itself. You got to keep pushing after it every single day. So basically, the weather was not great. It was in the mid 40s. It was raining. There was a decent breeze out of the southwest the whole damn race. Got there, I, wore a base t-shirt. I had on a thicker long sleeve shirt, and then the race long sleeve shirt that'll be, of course, in the thumbnail of this video. And I thought, all right, we're here. I'm not 100% ready for this race, obviously, but I'm ready to go. So let's do this. There was only 6 of us in the Celebrity Challenge. One guy was from Channel 6, and then I ended up figuring out, seeing that one of our sports guys named Zach Kiefer, he ended up doing the race too. Him and Anthony Calhoun do a lot of stuff, especially with Colts. He does a lot of Colts stuff when, of course, you're talking about Colts coverage during the news. But saw him as well at the start line. Dave Calabro from WTHR ended up introducing us to the crowd. That was really awesome. Being able to hear your name to being announced to the general public, that was pretty cool. I was like, this is a great race. I'm ready to get this going. No, the weather isn't terrific, but I didn't care at that point. I basically went into it not saying a whole lot, and I was like, well, I'm going to let my action speak for itself. So let's get into the Drumstick Dash race. I'm not going to try and talk too much about it. I'm just going to go straight forward into it. So the race started off at a good pace. I told myself, if I gave it my all, and they said it was going to be 4.44 miles, the course that we were going to run, the Celebrity Challenge people. If I gave it my all, I could probably run 41 or basically right under 41 minutes. But I thought I was going to run somewhere in the 43, 44 minute range. Now, I based part of that too off of a run I did that past Tuesday, and I did not feel good during that run. It did not feel good at all. So I'm nervous. But I did not let that nervousness overtake me. I do get generally nervous. I've done so many damn races in the last 8 years of me running that I somehow still get a bit nervous. And you don't want to be too nervous before a race. I mean, you can have a little bit of nervousness. Big dog, what are you doing? We got two big dogs here now. Of course, a little one. But you guys will see them in future videos too. Side note there. But yeah, we went out at a nice little pace. Zach and another guy, I didn't know who he was, they went out at a decent pace. Drew was ahead of me, and then the guy from 6 and Kevin were behind me too. They were right behind me. We were all kind of together in a stringed out pack, but that pack was stringing out quickly. The first part was a little downhill. I'm thinking I'm probably running 10.5 pace. And I looked at my watch. My watch states currently, when I run, distance, time, and current pace. Current pace said 9 flat. I thought, that's not right. I mean, we're going a little downhill. And I felt like I was cruising. I did not even put much effort into that first bit. I was not trying to. That was the goal. The goal was to run the first mile the slowest. Well, things got a bit more interesting than I thought it was going to be. It actually ended up getting a lot more intense. So basically, we started 4 minutes ahead of the general public. So I see Drew. I thought Drew especially was going to be way ahead of me eventually. I found myself getting closer to her, surprisingly enough. I turned back a little bit just to make sure I'm not cutting in front of the guy from 6 or Kevin. I see the guy from 6 behind me, pretty much right here on my shoulder. So I thought, okay, I'm not going to quite move in a little bit to the edge yet. I'm going to be a little bit more out on the road. The road was slippery. It was very slippery. I ran my Hoka One Rincon 2s. Those are actually retired now from running. I've been running in them for most of the year, and they're retired from running. I might walk in them a little bit more, but after this year, I'm going to be retiring them completely from footwear. But basically, we made the first turn south. I think it was Keystone Avenue we turned on. And this was like a half mile into the race. I thought, okay, I feel good. I feel pretty good. You know, I'm listening to some good music. I had a very aggressive playlist put together for this race. And I freaking needed it because, yeah, you know, I'm still pushing a little bit harder than I thought I was going to be. I still felt good. I'm like, you know what? Let's just go with it. We're just continuing to go with it. And also forgot to mention, Drew and Kevin had actually ran a half marathon the Saturday before this Thursday, that Thursday. I thought, oh, I felt that one. I'm thinking, ooh, that's not good. But you know, they're true runners. They're strong. I knew they were going to get through it one way or another. But yeah, I ended up getting closer. I was closing in on Drew so fast. I thought she was going to end up taking off from me, especially with how fit she is in general. Usually, the people from our station that do it, I've noticed with the past results, we've had some fast times from people that have done it from our station. So that's pretty cool too. The male side especially has won the trophy more in the last 5 years. But basically, we got to the 1 mile mark, and of course the public field had already crossed at that point, which obviously was going to happen. Everyone's flying past us, and then I'm trying to think about, okay, when I make the turns, I don't want to cut in front of anyone. I made the turn south from the Keystone, of course. The guy from 6 and Kevin are about right there. They're like 10 seconds behind me apiece and whatnot. So I pretty much... Okay, sorry about that, guys. There was an interruption earlier, so recording here later tonight on the same night. But yeah, so basically I left off at was coming up on mile 1. Mile 1 ended up being 9:27. Now, it was actually a lot faster than I was originally anticipating going out at. Because as I was talking about wanting to go out slow, I wanted it to be around 10-minute pace, or I was kind of thinking it was going to be somewhere around there, and then kind of go from there. I know it's not fast. I'm not the fastest guy in the world, so who cares? But it's fast to me, especially when I'm trying to run. When I talk about what my max effort could be if I end up utilizing it and successfully doing that. So essentially, we're going for the first mile, yeah, and a lot of people are passing me, of course, because all the fast people are, of course, out front, running under 5 minutes, just over a 5-minute mile pace, and just basically letting them all go around me, and I'm kind of just there in the middle of it. What was weird was the pack, the entire, time with people going around me, it kind of had me, I was kind of, effortlessly pushing the pace a little bit, which I didn't want to do. I felt like I was already going on a suicide pace a little bit. I wasn't trying to do that, but here I am, kind of feeling like I'm still running low 9s. Me and my watch saying 8:50. I'm like, whoa. Back off just a little bit. Don't need to sabotage the race. But yes, to my amazement, to my surprise, I kept getting closer to Drew. Actually, she was kind of right there within reach. I was kind of picking up a little bit. I was thinking, don't do that. Just come naturally, but eventually, right around the 1.5 mile mark, I ended up catching up to her, surprisingly enough. And I told her, let's go, Drew, and whatnot. Just, cheer on your teammates and whatnot. It's always great to do that, important to do that, give that extra boost of energy. But from that moment forward, when I passed her, I did not see her again. I actually ended up continuing to push forward. when I passed her, I kind of made one of these faces after I kind of turned back around and was like looking forward and feeling the effort. I was kind of like, because I was doing that because I'm thinking, geez, I'm already kind of pushing it in a way I didn't want to push it, but this is where the course kind of went a little downhill on Kessler Boulevard, so now we're running west into the wind a little bit, but got some people cheered on the side. That was pretty awesome. You had some DJ setups and whatnot. Starting to rain again a little bit. Didn't really care about the rain at this point. Felt pretty warm, I'd say. Didn't feel too cold. But was listening to some really good music. I was listening to Dream Theater at this point, a song called The Glass Prison, which is 14 minutes long. That song was pushing me a little bit. I'm thinking, take it easy, take it easy. But yeah, mile 2, there's a trail that goes, a bridge trail that goes over the road itself. I think it has to be the Monon. It has to be. I'm not sure though. But either way, right about that point, we hit mile 2, and I'm at 9:02 for the second mile. I thought, whoa, this is a bit too fast. And I'm thinking to myself, gosh, I'm hoping I'm not setting up for disaster in the second half of the race. And I was like thinking, I was getting a little nervous here, but I said, all right, I'm going to try and make a conceited effort to hold back a little bit and kind of hang things back. But every time I kept trying to do that, it failed. It failed. I was trying to make that effort to not keep pushing it, but every time I tried to slow myself down, I found myself going back a little bit to the pace where I was, which was around 9 flat, now 5. I wanted to be more closer to 9:30, but even my watch at one point, again, saying 8:50, 8:45, I'm thinking, yikes, we need to calm down a little bit. But made a turn left to go south. Again, had to watch people behind me because I still have a lot of fast people passing me. Since I ran with the faster group of people longer, I hung with the faster people in general longer than I thought I was going to, since I was going faster. So I had to watch out for them in general, but it was, this is where things got tough. This is where the first ounce of doubt started to creep in. I was thinking to myself, the second half's probably going to be rough. And I was right. It ended up being a serious fight to the finish. My halfway split was probably around 20:30, 20:40. I don't know my official halfway split still. Still got to estimate that. Probably 20, just over the 20-minute mark, though. Under 21 minutes, I'd say. Between 20 and 21 minutes. Yeah, it was getting pretty difficult, though. Kept trying to push it, though. My lower left area, my core region, was starting to hurt. It eventually ended up evolving into a total stomach problem. It was a gradual build-up, but legs are getting tired. My forearms, for some reason, were getting tired. It's usually my upper arms that get tired first, and then it kind of transitions down. But this was the exact opposite, which is a first. I don't know why, but I'm just kind of keeping my form straight and whatnot, trying to keep my arms straight and forward as much as possible, not trying to use too much, not trying to put too much dynamics into it, just trying to, as effortlessly as possible, utilize my form to the best of my ability. Trying to take it easy still, but breathing was beginning to become a lot more labored. I was feeling it. Get the 2.5 mile mark, I'm thinking, all right, I gotta focus. I really have to focus now. This is where it's gonna start getting much, much harder. So I had a feeling that we were gonna have some uphill-ish stuff coming up in the last 2 miles of the race, because we've been going more downhill at this point. So mile 3, we turned north. Right at the third mile marker, we turned north right at that point. And you're on this road for over a mile. This is where it ended up becoming, what felt like unbearably difficult. We got to mile 3. I hit the mile 3 split in 9:15, so my 3 mile time was 27:44 roughly. But by the time I hit mile 3, stomach was not doing too good. My stomach was starting to hurt a lot more. The wind was picking up, it felt like. The rain was starting to come down even heavier. It seemed the rain actually picked up in the last mile and a half of the race. Like, it just was coming down sideways. I thought, great, everything's going to start going haywire, and sure enough, it started doing so in the last mile and a half. I told myself, oh, this is the last third of the race, just hang in there. I tried as hard as I could to focus ahead. There were a couple things I was doing I shouldn't have been doing. One thing I was basically doing I shouldn't have been doing. I looked at my watch like every 2 seconds, it seemed like. Trying to make sure my pace was good, though, but then I kept trying to push it more. A very intense song came on at the 3.3 miles, basically a third of a mile into the fourth mile, basically kind of closer to mile 3.5. A very intense song came on, and instantly just start pushing it even harder. This was almost a bad idea, actually, in retrospect, because I'm borderline gonna hit the wall at this point. I'm really pushing it. Stomach's hurting worse. Legs are starting to fight deterioration of the muscles overall. Just tiredness overall with of course, the overall effort I was putting into it. Really started to catch up with me at this point. But yeah, pretty much from the moment that song started until the finish line, that last full mile, I nearly blew a gasket. Damn near shut down, actually. It was getting to be that hard. The preverse breakdown pushed it even harder. I was kind of back and forth on pushing it during that song, especially in the final song. Really tried to gun it on the final song, which played during the last half mile, but I'll tell you what, it was not easy doing that. Every time I pushed it, it upset my stomach even more. Then I'm starting to get concerned about, the funny business. I felt like my GI tract was getting bothered. It was not a good situation, honestly, it felt like. But, I mean, eventually I held it together. But the thing is, how do I explain this? It was like trying to push it was getting hard. It was really tough not to think about the overall amount of pain I'm in. Came this close to walking, honestly. I saw a couple people walking and it just messes with you mentally. You're thinking, oh, just take a break. No, I'm not taking a damn break. I want to finish this thing. I came out here to run a freaking race. I didn't come out here to freaking walk at all. So I'm literally fighting with my mind to tell it to keep going. Thank God I did, because I'll tell you what, I came really close to just shutting it down and walking for most of the rest of it. But I showed a lot of heart out there in the last mile that, I was not about to go down that easily. And if I had any little bit left, I was going to utilize that piece of energy I had left. So mile 4, I had a 909 mile at mile 4, and that put my 4 mile time at about 36:53. This is getting pretty ridiculous because this is literally my third fastest 4 miler, and it's 2 seconds slower than my second fastest 4 miler. It's like, wow, did not expect to run this fast at this point. So my mind's blown. I'm thinking, geez, sub 40 is possible, but it's pretty much out the window at this point. I would have had to close extremely fast, and that was not going to happen. I'm struggling to even push to the finish line at this point. As soon as we hit the mile 4 mark, like I said, I tried to gun it, but every time I pushed it, my stomach got worse and worse. It started getting more distressed. I thought, oh my gosh, I just need you to hang together for 5 more minutes, or not even 5 more minutes, more like 4.5 minutes. And we got to the right turn onto the street where we finished. I saw the big inflatables up ahead. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's still like 2. I could tell too. You can see it. You're thinking, oh, you still got like 2 more minutes in the race. That about killed me mentally too. I was almost done at this point. I was toast just about. But I tried to line up a good kick. I didn't think I was going to have much of a kick. Sure enough, didn't. But I pushed it. The last 0.44 miles was 3:54. So, yeah, I really keyed in on that final stretch and just pushed it home. Somehow freaking made it during this race. I ran 40:47, which equates to a pace of 9:12. Was really proud. Drew ended up finishing 45 seconds behind me. I was wondering how close behind she was to me. Sure enough, she wasn't too far off. First off, congrats to all the finishers who raced out there. There were some really fast people that day. On that day, and just gutting out in the rain, and putting it all together, racing hard on Thanksgiving morning, having some fun with it too. I grabbed a banana, grabbed a couple granola bars after the race, and I had to do a 2-block walk to the car. One thing I noticed after I finished, my quads were locking up immediately. So I was like, I need to keep moving because my quads are starting to lock up quickly. And yeah, I was sore, pretty sore for the next day or two after the race. But looking back on it now, that was definitely one of the best races of my life, believe it or not. It was because of the determination and the perseverance I showed during the race and how I was able to push a pace I didn't think I was going to be able to push. Really freaking proud of it. Seems like when I don't train a whole bunch for a race, I end up coming out doing much better than I think. And then when I train a lot for a race, I usually end up coming out basically going below my expectations. So I can't explain what it is personally, but it is what it is with it. Really proud of how it went with the Celebrity Challenge result itself. Zach won it overall. He was top male. There was another guy, of course, I was talking about that I didn't know. Basically, I didn't find out about this till later on that night. The guy in second place, I was catching up to him. I was making some ground on him. I ended up finishing only 52 seconds behind him. Now, I don't know if my stomach ache if I didn't have the stomach issue, I don't know how much of a difference that would have made. Probably would have made up a little bit of a difference. Probably, I'd say almost 30 seconds. But to be honest with you guys, I don't know how much more I could have put into that race. I was literally that spin at the finish line. I put everything that I had into that race on that day. And then Drew, it was me, then Drew, then Drew ended up being the top female, by the way. That was really awesome. So Zach and Drew were the top of their respective genders and whatnot. Then it was Kevin, then it was the guy from 6. Of course, there's 6 of us, as I talked about. But yeah, had a great Thanksgiving after that. Watched some great football. First off, though, before I basically take off with this video, thank you guys again so much for your support throughout the course of the year. Really just so thankful for being able to have, first off, my health and being able to do what I love, of course, with everything in general, not just running, not just work, just everything combined together. Ended up catching a cough after the race. Was not feeling good during the weekend. Not feeling good at all this past weekend. But bouncing back from that, overall, just, yeah. I'm trying to run again sometime next week or the week after, because 2022, again, we got big things coming. The first official episode of the Sub 20 project, I think it's going to come out probably the week of New Year's Eve, most likely. Probably going to do something around there for that. We'll see. But again, thank you guys so much for sticking along through the journey. It's been incredible this year. 2022 will be insane. I guarantee you. You can bet money on it. But yeah, that was my 2021 racing season recap and the Drumstick Dash recap. I will see you guys later.